Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Whenever you find yourself listening to this, it is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. And today, oh boy, do we have a lot in store for you. So, as of recently, we've had some interesting events take place. As you know, Nick Fuentes did a collaboration with Tucker Carlson, and the outrage to this meeting has been hilarious, just to say the least. We have the Republican Jewish coalition crashing out madly with Mark Levin at the helm, accusing everyone who talks to Nick Fuentes and now to Tucker Carlson as a dangerous and anti-Semite. Whoa! It's just really pathetic that they think they can just keep using this emotional blackmail and name-calling and finger-wagging. How dare you platform Tucker Carlson? That's my Mark Levin impression. I think it's doing pretty good. What do you guys think? But it's just so pathetic just watching him, watching Ben Shapiro
say, how dare you bring on somebody onto your podcast that hurts my feelings.
What happened to the marketplace of ideas? That was a very short-lived intellectual dark web. The marketplace of ideas seems to have dissipated in cancel.
I'm gonna cancel you if you dare have Nick Fuentes on.
It was ridiculous. I've watched the right from 2016 talk about how they don't like cancel culture and it's so bad and only the left does that. But meanwhile, we have these grifters who never actually were a part of America First suddenly say that they're the leaders of the movement and it's our movement. Even though they were all never Trumpers in 2016. Now they're just trying to disinherit the American people, the base that elected Donald Trump, from their own political movement. Using treachery and trickery and just outright theft and manipulation. But it's so funny that it's like MAGA is supposed to be free speech and everything, and it's now, they're pushing for hate speech laws. Mark Levin is trying to push for hate speech laws, and he says,
who said we don't cancel? We canceled Hitler, we canceled pornography, we canceled this, we canceled Nick Fuentes.
Like, no, you said that you were against cancel culture. You said that you were this great admirer of the founding fathers and freedom of speech and liberty and all these things. It's just a Halloween costume. It's just a Halloween costume for them to put on, because really what they are Zionist authoritarians that want to have basically enough liberty to seem like you're free, to make people feel like they're free, but it reaches an end point when you're criticizing Israel.
You can't criticize Israel. That's hate speech. That's conduct. It's not protected by the First Amendment.
Yes, it is protected by the First Amendment. Conduct is a form of speech. And it's so ridiculous because it's like, according to Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and all these people, criticizing Israel or criticizing a religion or criticizing anyone that is part of their group, that's not free speech. But pornography is free speech. Like, it's just completely asinine. Like, literally just mocking and insulting Jesus Christ and making jokes about him, which actually used to be illegal even under the First Amendment in a lot of states. And it wasn't political speech, it's just outright blasphemy. So, like, that's completely okay. But criticizing the Jews, you can't do that because the Jews are more, they're more central to the American story than Jesus Christ, apparently. You can't say naughty things about Netanyahu, and you can't talk about AIPAC, but pornography is completely protected by the First Amendment, apparently. And it was one of their tribe members that actually got that case through the Supreme Court that legalized pornography. So, and Dennis Prager, he's, it's okay to have child pornography as long as it's just digital. Like, this is just complete degeneracy and wickedness of these people, where you can criticize Islam, you can criticize Christianity, but you can't criticize Judaism, because remember, Thomas Jefferson was a yarmulke wearing, bar mitzvah attending, shekel counting, matzah ball making Jew. Remember that? Remember George Washington? Remember how he always had his braids and everything, and he went to synagogue every week? I mean, they're just trying to rewrite history, trying to gaslight us, the white Christian population, into believing that we never were a Christian country.
We were a country based off of a proposition.
Like, no, that's BS. And whoever says that, including, what's his name, Victor Davis Hanson, which I have a lot of respect for him because he's a brilliant intellectual, but he's flat out wrong about America being a proposition. We're not organized around a proposition. That might be the case now. We're barely organized around the proposition of Christianity, let alone classical liberalism. No, we were founded by English people, English settlers, white people from England. Like, yeah, there's a couple other European ethnicities, and yes, you've always had black people here. They have a right to be here. I mean, they've been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. I have no problem with that. But who do you think you're kidding, Mark Levin? Who do you think you're kidding, Ben Shapiro? America was never a Christian country, or it's a Judeo-Christian country. They've created this religion out of thin air that's barely 100 years old, Judeo-Christianity, where it's basically Christianity, but you have to worship the Jews. Basically, you have to worship them, and if you don't worship them, just don't be naughty. Don't dare dress up as an SS officer while everyone else is dressing up as bloodthirsty demons. Don't dare make a joke about Hitler, or don't dare poke at the sacred story of victimhood. It's just ridiculous, and people are so tired of it. And Gen Z gets it. Gen Z realizes that that making these jokes about their sacred victim story and making jokes about Hitler, it's not actually to venerate Hitler. It's not actually to say, oh, the Axis, they were the right ones. And no, it's to, like David Irving said, it's to mock and decimate and remove from its pedestal this ridiculous story that's as sacred as a religion to them, just to make fun of and mock and banish these falsehoods from popular culture. I mean, it's just ridiculous that nobody ever gives a peep about the Japanese that were forced into internment camps by the U.S. government. That was okay, and it was okay that Churchill starved 1 billion people and stole their rice, but the Holocaust, that was really, really bad. Even though there's no proof to allege any of the sacred tenets of their Holocaust religion, even though there's no evidence of gassings, and there's no evidence of gas chambers. All the doors are wooden. By the way, real gas chambers have to be closed up and sealed like Sandy's house on SpongeBob. I mean, it's really not that complicated. I mean, you can go on the internet and look up how British intelligence was openly talking about how gassings were something they created and they were trying to push on the public as a psyop, and they did successfully for a while, but then people started actually reading the documents and trying to find the documents for the final solution and the Havara Agreement, and the fact that all these horrible, terrible camps, all these death camps, seem to have a lot of amenities that are conducive to life, such as maternity wards and tennis fields, all sorts of, like, nurseries, movie theaters, brothels. Like, yeah, that's some kind of death camp with a lot of amenities. It's I mean, nobody believes it anymore. Nobody believes the sacred story of the founding era. I mean, people are just tired of it. They're tired of the lies, and it's not that this person was the good guy and this person was the bad guy. It's the fact there are no good guys. There are no bad guys. I mean, so many world leaders, you can study them and all the great things they did. I mean, even Stalin did great things. Hitler did great things. But, FDR did evil, wicked things. Julius Caesar did good things. He did bad things. Napoleon Bonaparte did really excellent things. Was a stabilizing figure, but, he obviously made some mistakes. I mean, it's not that complicated, guys. It's not a comic book. And Gen Z is smart enough to realize that. And so this is what's leading me back to my central point about Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and, all the crybabies wagging their fingers at Tucker Carlson for, how dare you bring on Nick Fuentes onto your own podcast? And not to mention the fact that they've already canceled Tucker Carlson, was fired from Fox News, and now he's more relevant than ever. Just saying very basic things like Pat Buchanan said, hey, maybe we shouldn't fund all these wars. Maybe we shouldn't bring in all these third worlders that are going to hate us and defecate on our culture and vandalize our constitution and destroy the last ruins of classical liberty that still exist within our country, like the barbarians coming and just knocking down whatever's left of the Greco-Roman pillars and just setting up ugly shacks underneath buildings that were once of a grand and beautiful design by a culture that no longer exists. I mean, we're not just going to get taken over because of your sob story. We're not just going to disinherit ourselves from our country and our religion and our way of life and our values because it hurts 2% of the population's feelings. I don't care. I mean, go to Israel. Go live. Wasn't that the whole point of having Israel, was to be a backstop against anti-Semitism? Well, they constantly talk about how they experience anti-Semitism. Why don't you go live in Israel? There's plenty of room there. I hear that there's a real estate bonanza going on down there in the West Bank and Gaza. Point is, I don't want to get rid of Israel. I don't like Israel, but I have a very basic nationalistic viewpoint where I believe that all people should flourish in their lands as the majority. And, although I realize that Israel was founded upon terrorism and wickedness and secular, I think it's just funny how the whole state was basically founded by an atheist. An atheist who said God gave us this land. But look, in spite of all that, it's already happened. What's done is done. I really don't think that there's going to be a Palestinian state. I mean, that's just the way it is. But Yeah, it's like go live there. Go live there, and then you can do things the way you want to do it, and then we can do things the way that we want to do it. But no, it's like they feel like they have a right to Europe and America. They're following the Kalergi plan to destroy the native population and then simply eliminate all the intellectuals like they did in the Soviet Union, and so they can be the intellectuals. But no, I'm sorry, that's not gonna happen. I mean, you can only do that for so long until the people get tired of you. You know, you might try to Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, but it's just gonna make 1,000 more. You get rid of one intellectual, there's just gonna be more. I mean, that's the effect of free speech. And which is something they don't really value, apparently. They certainly did in 2016, but now, they don't anymore. And I just think it's hilarious how Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, and all these people, Dave Rubin, were against Trump in 2016. Probably because they didn't want mass deportations to actually save the demographic crisis in this country so they can continue ruling over it through a divide and conquer strategy. But, they kind of signed on because they saw where the wind was blowing. They wanted to be important too. They wanted to sort of take over the movement. Like as Vladimir Lenin said, if the people desire opposition, we will supply one. Ben Shapiro is obvious fake opposition. Just him saying that he'd waive the born in USA requirement for presidency so Bibi could become president. I mean, they can't help but tell you who they really are. Like, I forget what that, I guess the chutzpah, would be the word for it. They can't help but brag like the Bond villain, where, he's got James Bond like tied up in a chair and there's a laser like about to be run through him, and he just can't help, the villain can't help but just spill all the beans and say, well, this is my plan to take over, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that. I mean, it would go better for them if they just shut their mouths. But they can't help it. They just want to brag. They think we're idiots. They think we're a bunch of goy. We're a bunch of cattle. Well, that is going to be their downfall. Because a bunch of cattle don't have a united consciousness to oppose the quote-unquote intellectuals, the quote-unquote people that are supposed to sit and eat while we work, according to the chief Sephardic rabbi of Israel who died and was celebrated by virtually every Jew. Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll just see who's the cattle when we strip all of your political power away, and where you'll hate what America looks like so much after we're done with it that you'll just want to leave on your own accord. You just self-deport like the migrants. It's going to be a wonderful day for America when Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin and Chucky Schumer and Dave Rubin and all these people just say, you know what, let's go move to Israel. We're tired of being despised for no reason at all. For no reason at all. Just like Randy Fine said, we've been kicked out of every country for no reason at all. It was never about, killing people. It was never about, poisoning wells, or it was never about debasing the currency or introducing filth and degeneracy into society. It was just for no reason at all. They just didn't like us because of our very special hats. That's the only reason. We just have these great hats, and they really want our hats, but we won't give it to them. That's why they've kicked us out of 110 countries, 109 countries. It was just all because
they were jealous. They were jealous of us.
Whatever, man. They can finger point and wag their finger at us and say strong words. warn us to be afraid, whatever. We're not going to go back to sleep. We are awake now, and we want our country back. And we're not going to settle for your domination and subversion of MAGA until it turns into this milquetoast, weak, half measure, middle of the way George Bush 2.0 presidency political movement. Like, no, we want the real thing. We want Pat Buchanan. We want Nick Fuentes. We want real nationalism. We want JFK, and we're going to get it because we, the people, are the ones in control, not 2% of the population. So it's going to get interesting. We'll just have to see how it plays out. All right, everybody. Have a nice day. Signing out.